back to Mothers Refreshed. This is a series where we're talking about motherhood, all the joys, the triumphs, and the complexities, and everything else that falls in the middle. We were talking about pregnancy in the last episode, and so now we're moving towards labor and delivery. So, in the last few months and weeks, typically what I hear is that mothers get a little bit anxious, typically even just with one child. But since everybody in this space have at least one set of twins, what's going through your mind? Because you're not just birthing a child, you're birthing two children, right? What's going through your mind weeks leading up? Like, how anxious are you?
You go at any time. So I'm just sitting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And I was off.
What's 28 weeks? I'm sorry. Back it up. I haven't birthed a child, so these numbers are. How many months is that?
Second trimester.
So yeah,
second
within
trimester.
around
Oh,
6
the
months?
end of the second
Oh,
trimester.
okay.
7 months,
So
Yeah.
7 months.
7 months.
yeah.
Okay, so the doctor says at any time it
At
could
any
be.
time because there's twins and there's just extra pressure.
Yeah.
And so I was off work my whole pregnancy because I was at risk of delivering early. So I ended up delivering 8 weeks premature. And my twins were born emergency C-section and spent a month in the NICU. My son was transferred to Sick Kids Hospital for 10 days. He was intubated, his lungs collapsed. So a lot of complications happen as a result of being premature. His lungs weren't fully developed. And so you're just hoping that you get past the safe part.
Yes. Yeah.
That they're going to be okay if and when they deliver early.
Yeah. What's going through your mind leading up to either one of you?
I'll start.
Okay.
Just being, again, having the experience of having, this was my 4th pregnancy. All my pregnancies went full term, so either like 39 weeks and a couple days. But I remember the last 2 weeks I had, you're going for appointments every week by the end, and that's to see your OB, do the checks. I remember like breaking down and being like, I just can't carry the weight anymore. I can't do it anymore. I worked quite late. I worked to about 31 or 32 weeks until I chose to go off, and then I wanted at least that last little bit. Just not to be on my feet all day.
Yeah.
But she's like, no, you gotta wait, hold on, you're near the end, you could definitely go full term again. But she said, I'm working in the hospital, and I also wanted to advocate for my birth plan. I was hoping to have an unmedicated birth, as I did with my 3rd, but she said with twins, you're high risk, and there's a potential of having an emergency C-section, even if the first one comes out okay. So I said, okay, I'll take the meds. I ended up going, or they induced me at 37 and 2. So inducing means that they start the process, and it was because she was on shift and knew that she would try to advocate for both vaginal births, as opposed to having to, if there's any sign of a complication, she knew that I wanted to do that. So she wanted to be there and to help me deliver the babies, which she was, and it was successful and wonderful. So
Wow.
yeah.
Oh my
It was a positive story. They're 15 minutes apart.
Oh,
Keep pushing.
Oh, that's a long gap.
Yeah, it is a long gap. That's
That's a
Yeah.
long gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's great. Okay.
My twins were 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah,
Mine
no,
are
I'm
one.
6
You're
minutes.
1 minute apart.
2 sets, 2 minutes apart.
Yeah, my baby B was a bit stubborn. She didn't want to come out, but she's like, keep pushing, and it was okay. So
Wow.
yeah.
And vaginal birth.
But yes, yeah, all 5 babies.
for you.
Yes.
High five.
You,
Yeah.
that's you as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I
great.
had to be induced for every single one of them because they did not want to come out.
Yeah.
And so I was very adamant about the whole C-section thing. I honestly, I kudos to any mother that goes through that because that is not my portion.
Yeah.
I could not lay up in
It's
the bed
not
like that.
easy.
It's a whole different, like,
It is.
it's like giving birth all over again, like labor and all that, because breastfeeding, everything just goes
Yeah.
all in that section. So what I
Yeah.
heard, so I was not about a C-section.
Yeah.
So therefore I was like, okay, we're doing vaginal, and I told my OB, and even that just backing up, like they told me that twin B was 13% of life,
Okay.
meaning that he would not make it. She wanted me to abort him. And I was-
When are you getting this?
so when I got that news was, I want to say about 12 weeks,
Okay.
16 weeks.
Okay.
So that's going out of, well, first trimester actually. So
Yeah.
that's what, so they were comparing
Mm.
to
Mhm.
twin B,
Mhm.
saying, oh, he's 80 something percent, and oh, he's only 11%. He's only, well,
Mm.
he's fine.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep him, and he's gonna keep doing his thing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But long story short, definitely vaginal for me. They induced me. I went home, and then the thing came out. We'll get into that. That's a whole different story. It's like a balloon going up you and then opening up your cervix.
Okay.
And then when it falls out, then you have to go back to the hospital because now they've kind of opened up the way a little bit, at least like I think it's like 2 centimeters or something like that.
This is before birth or after?
This is
Before
for
birth.
means of induction.
It means of induction.
That's the induction.
That's
There are
the
different types of
Oh,
induction,
okay.
so that's
Yeah, so
Okay.
I got the balloon pushed up me and opened up my cervix.
Okay.
So I'm like walking with this little thing taped to my
Oh,
face.
wow.
Yeah, what we go through
This is
is
what people don't talk about.
I've
Yeah.
never heard of that. I
I
didn't even know
you
that.
didn't know?
Never heard
No,
of that.
so
Heard
it's
of
a
that
balloon
one.
that inflates inside of you in your
Yeah.
vagina, and it opens up your cervix
Which
walls.
gets you ready for the.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow.
And then when it comes out, it's like, oh, it comes out. They're like, okay, just yank it out, and then put it in the garbage, and then you get to the hospital.
Okay.
Then they check you again, your cervix, seeing how far you're dilated, and make sure are you GBS positive or negative, which is basically a bacteria.
Yeah.
So they have to give you a shot basically to make sure that when the baby comes through, it's healthy. If you do test positive for GBS, that means that the baby's going to need some medication and stuff like that.
Okay.
So anyway, so it was vaginal for me.
Yeah.
I actually did not push out my firstborn, which is Samuel. He pushed out himself.
Okay.
The doctor was like, "Why are you pushing?" And I said, "I'm not." So what are you doing down there? She's like, "You're pushing." No, I'm not. Just catch the baby. She's like, "Oh yeah, catch the baby, guys." So it was kind of funny in the room. I'm like laughing. I'm like, "Are you serious right
Yeah.
now?"
He
but
was
then-
ready.
Yeah, he was ready. But twin B, who sat here, who was calm, he was the active one. But twin B, he was very calm, and he's
Yeah.
actually loving to this day.
Yeah.
Very touchy. But
Mhm.
he was throwing elbows. She's reached she threw up her arm, my
Mhm.
OB, the doctor, to pull down the child.
I heard that is excruciatingly painful. Is that true?
I didn't feel anything.
No, you don't feel it because you have the epidural.
Yeah, I have the
They
epidural.
pressure
Oh,
you.
see, I didn't
Yeah.
assume
Well,
that you
that's
had it. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so I got the epidural.
So they can do whatever they
Yeah,
want.
they
Go
do
to
whatever
town.
they want.
Okay.
Okay, did you get him yet?
Yeah.
And so that was basically how that went. So she reached up 3 times and she's like, I think we're going to do C-section. I said, no, you're not. The 3rd time you're going to grab him, he's going to come out. And so therefore
Good
she
for
did. She
you.
reached up and he gave that foot and
Oh.
dragged him down.
Good for
And he
you.
was crying. And so it's kind of scary, I'll be honest, in that labor room because there's so many people.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, ladies.
Yes.
There's so
Yeah.
many people in the room.
Yep.
And so
And
it's
nobody's
like,
telling you anything.
Yeah,
You're
but-
just seeing
well,
them.
my doctors were good. They were like, "Don't worry, we have a team for team
Yeah.
twin A, twin B,
Yeah.
and a team for you." So I'm like, I understood it, but it was just so much going on.
Yes.
Overwhelming.
Exactly,
It
it's
is.
overwhelming. And
How
we
many
had-
people is too many people?
Let's talk about like there's 12 people in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 or
Yeah.
Well, they
12.
have one
Yeah.
team
And
for
even
each
just
baby,
the
and
room
then one
setting.
team.
It's like
And
three
that was
people
COVID.
per- yeah,
And that was because it was COVID.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
10.
yeah,
What?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I had close to 20.
I was
Yeah.
Oh, but
For my-
Yeah, 'cause you were
Okay,
premature.
what's your
Yeah.
story then?
Yeah.
How come 20?
I don't know.
Maybe
Probably
the
because
premature.
they were
Yeah.
so premature.
Okay.
So,
Right, that makes sense, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came in, I was 6 centimeters dilated when I came in.
Mhm.
And so they wheeled me into the operating room right away.
Yeah.
And I delivered within 2 minutes. Twin B came, and they brought them to the NICU right away. My daughter has Down syndrome, so they recognized that, but we had already had prenatal testing. So there was extra care given to her at birth, and so I think there was a bit of extra people about that. And then just
you.
bringing them there.
Yeah, mine was very similar. For my second set, I had a lot more complications with that pregnancy because I was going through a really stressful time of becoming separated from my children's father, my husband at the time, having twins back to back, having 2 sets of pregnancies in 2 years. So I had, they called it an incompetent cervix. So it was opening on its own. So I was put on bed rest early.
That language.
Yeah.
It's
Incompetent.
very
So, yes,
striking.
exactly.
Incompetent
It's its cervix. That's what they told, and it's just like it makes you feel very much less than.
Yeah.
They put me on early bed rest, and then again, I had no one to advocate for me, so I was told that because I had a C-section before, it's just safer to have a C-section again.
Yeah.
I went into labor on the same day that I was supposed to have my C-section. I'm like, something's not right. I've never been in labor before, but I had a scheduled C-section. I'm just like, something ain't right. I'm rocking back and forth. I'm in the shower. I'm like, I think they're coming.
How far along were you with that one?
I had both of them at 36 weeks.
Okay.
Both sets at 36 weeks. I made it to the hospital. They're like, oh, you're just excited. I'm like, no, somebody's coming.
Yeah.
Somebody's coming. They're like, it's not till 2 o'clock. I said, someone's coming now. And when they got me to the room, they checked. They're like, baby's here. But as I said, my twin A's, they're, he came butt first. And they're like, oh, no, don't push. They ran me to the butt first.
But that's not good.
Yeah.
I know.
Not good.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
He was trying to come down with all his might, with his little booty in the air, just coming out. And
but did you have? Sorry, can I ask you? Did you have the epidural? Like,
I
are you
did.
feeling this?
So at that time, I did not have the epidural. They had to give me everything right away because they had to do a C-section because they could not. He was so far down. He wasn't able. The cord was wrapped around his neck.
That
So
was
they
my first one.
they rushed me to the surgical room, and it started off with just like 2 or 3 people, and then I heard code pink. And then people started running into the room. This is where I ended up with about 20 people in the room. The doctor's screaming, I'm crying.
Who's in the room for you? Who's in the room for you?
My children's father was there.
Okay, so you had one.
But he
person.
was of no use because he's just like, he doesn't know what's going on. People are yelling.
And so is this his first experience being in?
That was his first experience because he was still in Jamaica for the first set.
Okay.
So this was, we tried to reconnect.
Yeah.
During the end of the pregnancy, it just didn't end up working out, but he was there for the birth of the second set.
Yeah.
I heard
So a bunch of people are running into the
running
room.
into the
It's
room.
his kind of first experience.
Yeah,
to
so
speak.
he's shocked.
Yeah.
I'm crying. I'm screaming. What's happening? I don't hear any crying. There's no crying happening, and you're supposed to hear that initial cry.
Yes.
People are running. There's curse words. The doctor's screaming. That's why people got to be in here. And I'm just like, God,
What's
please.
happening?
God, yeah. That's all I'm thinking is, God, please. And you're stuck on the table. You can't move. There's a big sheet in front of you. No one's telling you anything.
Yes. Okay.
Can we talk about that table too? So this was
Okay.
my first time being on the table for C-sections.
Yeah.
Normally you're in the bed if you just have a regular vaginal delivery.
Yeah.
That table is small,
It's very,
very
tiny.
narrow, and I felt like you had to balance. I was balancing myself.
Really?
Mhm.
Yes.
Tiny
You had to
table.
have your arms on the.
Your arms are stretched
Stretched.
out like
Oh, I
that,
didn't do that.
and then you had a
Yes.
mask
Why
on
does the arms have to be out?
because they don't want because they
To
like
touch,
Jesus on the
pull.
cross. You're
Yeah.
literally
Okay,
like
they didn't make me do
banded.
that.
Oh yeah.
Maybe because I wasn't actually having a C-section,
Yeah.
but just being on that table, I was like,
Yeah.
what is this?
Yes.
Like, how
Yeah.
am I supposed to balance? My feet kept going on the stirrup things because again, it's not wide enough for you. And I'm a fairly petite person. I
Yeah.
thought somebody
Yeah.
taller than me.
Yeah.
Like their feet are gonna hang off the end, their arms, their head. I'm like, how is this even
It's very
comfortable?
uncomfortable.
Very
Mhm.
uncomfortable.
This is why I never wanted. I always said to myself, and I've always said to God, you've heard this before. I've always said, if I'm having children, I want them to be at home. Because what you're characterizing is frightening.
This
Yeah.
is why I
It's
want
very
to
scary.
remember
Yeah.
because it's, and like being
Yeah.
at home is just like it's your germs, it's your comfort. You're more
Yes.
relaxed in your
Yeah.
own home. Now
Yeah.
you're telling me I have to go to the hospital and I have to be in a room to prepare for possible surgery in case anything goes wrong. I can't even labor upstairs where I want to say the regular woman
Yeah.
because they're not high risk because they're only having one babies. But
Okay.
it's just like it's so different. It's such a different experience,
Yeah.
and it's like
What
everyone
happened,
kind
though?
of
'Cause-
shuts you down as well. Like when I first found out I was twin, right away my family doctor was like, "So you're gonna have a C-section," and I was like,
It's already
It's-
pre-done.
Yeah.
Scripted.
Can you let
It's
the
already
body trapped
tried.
on you like you're having twins? C-section.
I
End of
was
story.
like, "We're gonna let the body try. Thank you very much. I'm young. I know it's my
Good
first
for you.
pregnancy,
Good
but
for
we
you.
don't like." We're gonna try. We're gonna
Yeah.
at least try. We're not pushing that on me.
Yeah.
Not that I have anything wrong with it, but like you said, that's just so much added more work. It's a lot more work. It's a lot more stress on the body. I don't want that if I don't have to do that. So my OB, she was a twin mom herself. So again, they tell you the risk. You can have one vaginally, but 5% chance you might have C-section. I'm like, I'm okay with that, but we gonna let this vagina try.
I like
Just
that.
let it empower the
Let it-
vagina.
yes,
Let it
try.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't cut me off. So she was great. I was induced as well, but I was also trying to beat the doctors and everybody else because, like I said, I did not want to do medical at all. So I was doing yoga, downward dog. I was like, get me some pineapples, get me the spice. I remember them coming in going, can you just lie there? And I was like, no, I'm trying to beat you guys. So like you said with the balloon, at least they
Yeah.
sent you home. They didn't send me home. I was stuck in the hospital.
Oh.
They wouldn't let me walk. I was like, could I get the peanut ball? They're like, nope. I'm like, can I get a yoga ball? Nope. Everything was just no, no, no. Like, just lay there. And I was like, downward dog. I was like YouTubing everything. I was really trying to beat them. And they were like, we just want you to stay there. And I was like, no.
Wow. I'm sorry.
I mean, it was great. I had
wait,
them
how did
both.
they help?
I had them vaginally, and my OB said that
That's good.
her method for because I had monodyed twins, so one sac, one placenta, separate sacs. The risk of baby A coming out first could shatter the placenta. So she wanted to go in, even though baby A was head down, flip her and pull her out feet first. So it wasn't my OB; it was whoever was on staff, and the doctor did that. But again, I was like, the first one came in, I was like, okay, can I have like 1 second? He's like, nope, we're going again. And literally, and I was like, I asked for like, just a 2-minute breather, even a 1-minute breather. I asked.
Yeah.
And
Let me
it did
catch my
not
breath.
happen. Yeah. But even before that, they were saying that, I was getting tired and baby was getting tired. And I remember my husband looking at me going like, come on now. But it was like, this is why I did not want to be in the hospital. Like, what are you guys in a rush for?
Yeah.
She's going to come out.
Yeah.
Let me, like,
Yeah. Let
And
the
this is
body
your
and
do
first.
its
he's
thing.
pulling her out. Yeah. And these
Yeah.
are my first.
Good for you.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So what everyone's characterizing from an outsider is like crazy.
That's just the beginning.
Yeah.
So, okay, yes, I hear you on that. So I want to know, finally, what would you say was the moment of calm after the storm for you? So that could be, I don't know, like a 2-second nap
No.
after all of that. That could be later on when you're holding the baby. Like, what was the
9, 8
calm
months
after the
later.
storm?
The thing that a lot of people don't talk about is when you leave the hospital. Remember, for 9 months, for 9 months or 8, 7 months,
Yeah.
you've been pampered. I'm hungry. What do you want to eat?
Yeah.
My back hurts. Where's my back? And once first set, they took them and they walked ahead of me, and I was like holding my back and wobbling. But then they're like, "You don't have no babies anymore. You're good." Right? And then second set, I felt it was the same, where once you have the babies, nobody cares about you anymore. And you're on your own. And through COVID in there, COVID babies, when you don't have anybody coming to want to see the babies or let me feed the baby for you, go nap.
Yeah.
Like that didn't happen. It's just we're in the household, it's just us.
Yeah.
But that feeling of it's not about me anymore. And it sounds really selfish because you're like, it's your babies, but you're like, what about me? I
Yeah.
did all this work. My feet still hurt. My back
Right.
still hurts.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, but you don't have the baby. You can go get yourself something to eat if you're hungry now. And you have to readjust to normal life when you've been pampered for so long. And it was really hard for me to adjust back to you know what I mean? It's not about you.
Yeah.
Nobody really cares if you get sick anymore. No, it's just about the babies.
Did you ever find a moment of calm?
No.
Okay.
No. They're
And that's okay.
because I
Yeah,
did
that's real.
C-section for both.
Yeah.
And even just seeing one who he was premature,
Yeah.
just me making it from one room and across the other wing of the hospital, only to see the nurses showering him. And I was like, I wanted to shower him, but I couldn't get up to get over there. So just healing from the C-section, you see, you didn't want to go through that. The healing process of like having surgery,
Yeah.
it's like, and we're still pushing through because we still
Yes.
want to take care of our babies.
Absolutely.
So it's not like we just put the baby, they take the baby and we're just resting. We don't have that recovery. And then my stitches burst open for the first
gosh.
pregnancy. Like you could literally just see the open flesh. Like, it got infected and stuff. So you're still trying to heal your body while having, one to the left, one to
Yeah.
the right, literally latched onto you
Yeah.
while your whole bottom half is still falling off. You know?
So I think
So,
what
yeah.
oftentimes when I talk to women, or even like even when I'm watching TV, for instance, right? We see like this beautiful image of this woman with her, baby, and these beautiful pictures of a room like this, and then the one with the baby, and then the next thing is like we skip over the labor part, and then the next thing is they're in this beautiful room like this, and then they've got the baby, and oh look, 2
Rocking
months,
and-
3 months, 4 months, right? And so to your point, I think that not everybody does find that moment of calm, or sometimes the moment of calm happens at 12 years old, right?
Because you're not
Or-
sleeping, right?
yeah.
You now have two individual beings with their own pattern, their own schedule.
Yes.
I've done it twice. You think no, these babies run the world.
Yeah.
They
run your
rule.
world.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, everybody else around them too.
Yes, yes.
So they do that, and then they when you have to put them into pattern of you're sleeping, your sibling is sleeping, you got to go back to bed, or you're up, I got to wake this one up. So
Yeah.
you have to establish that pattern in order for you to start sleeping again, to feel normal, to eat. People sleep when the baby is sleeping. So how do I wash the clothes? How do I?
So
You know,
I
like, how
can't
do I
wait to get
cook?
into
Who cooks?
that piece,
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
postpartum, and I want to learn. I got a ton of questions because I feel like that's when it gets real.
Yes.
So in the next episode, we're going to be talking about the postpartum and everything else that goes along with that. So join us on the next episode.